Hello, guys! The second park that we went to on the Finland trip was Särkaniemi, and this park absolutely blew my mind. I had pretty low expectations for this one. It was absolutely amazing. It had an amazing atmosphere. It had a great location by the sea and some good terrain usage also. Some very good rides, varying from roller coasters to water rides to a very good flat ride collection. One of the best flat rides collections in any park that I've been to. So let's talk about my top 10 rides. At number 10 spot, we have a flat ride, a classic carousel called Yavi Carouseli or something like that. This is scenic, this is unique, and this is charming. So therefore, it makes my top 10. At number 9 spot, I have these car rides called uh, Postisi Kylo or something like that. Okay, honestly, these names is crazy. But this is a great scenic car ride, and normally these wouldn't be on a list like this, but this one was just amazing. It has terrain usage, and an amazing view over the sea, and some pretty charming theming also. At number 8 spot, I have Boom. This is the drop tower of the park, and it is a pretty underwhelming drop tower. However, it has a pretty good, it's not a launch, but it goes up very fast. And then a pretty good airtime pop at the top. Other than that, it just bounces you about a bit and doesn't really do that much force wise. But it is still fun, and the view over the sea and the rest of the park is incredible. Okay, from number 7, we are really talking business, but because this is Tornado, this is one of the three big coasters here. And yeah, this is an intimate inverted coaster, and I do like this thing. It's probably just not one of my favorite kind of models because positive G forces are fun, but it's definitely not my favorite kind of force. This one is pretty forceful, and in the back row you get some pretty good pull from the inversions, the loop, and the cobra roll. The overbank of this coaster is pretty dead, but then the hardline rolls here are very fun and very hang timey. One big highlight of this ride actually for me is the station. You are basically inside a massive rock, and it is quite special. Next up, we have Koskiokialo or something. That is the rapids ride of this park, and it is a very good rapids actually. It doesn't have that much theming, but it pretty much have everything else a good rapids needs. It have some good speed sections. It have a pool with waves also, and a tunnel, and you get decently wet too, and it is decently aggressive also for a rapids ride. I really like rapids rides, and this is a good one. Out of coasters that have surprised me pleasantly, MotoG is one of the ones that I've done it the very most. I thought this coaster was going to be pretty bad actually, but it was a blast. The launch of this ride was very powerful actually, and very snappy too. And then the layout itself is just a bunch of twists and turns, and they look pretty slow paced, but they actually give some fun lateral and airtime pops. It is a super fun ride. No complaints there. Next up, we have X, which is the pendulum ride of this park. It is a 360 degrees pendulum, and the positive G's of this ride is absolutely nuts. They are crazy. They crush you at the bottom. And then also, it provides some very good hang time at the top. So this is just an overall great flat ride. At number 3 spot, I have Tugiyuki, which is the flume ride of this park. This is actually one of my favorite flume rides that I've ever been on. The thing about this is it is very, very unique. It goes up the first lift hill, and then it just slowly goes down by tiny dips. Not any major dips, but just tiny drops and turns and some good speed. It kind of almost acts like a rapids ride. You also have a waterfall at the side at some point. And it is absolutely beautiful landscape, this ride. It is so scenic, and it follows the terrain so well. It finishes up with a very underwhelming final plunge actually after the second lift hill. That is way too shallow for it to give any zip. But even with a very underwhelming final plunge, this managed to be one of my favorite flumes, with just for its strange nature, I think. At number two spot, we have High Voltage. I've always wanted to ride one of these flat rides ever since I saw one. And let me just say that this did not disappoint any bit. It was a very, very pleasant surprise, actually. I didn't expect that much from it, but it is one of my new favorite flat rides. It had such a strange sensation, a great combination of fun airtime, some weird hang time, and some good whip, and some pretty good positive G's also. And it's just a bit hard to describe how it feels, but it feels strangely disorientating. It is one of the best flat rides I've been on. But number one for me is going to be Hype. I haven't ridden a Skyrocket 2 in a very long time, and let me just say that it is a much more fun coaster than I remember it to be. The launches here are pretty powerful already, and then this hardline roll this high up, only with a lap bar, is just a amazing sensation. And you need to ride this at least once in the very front row, because that pop of ejector airtime you'll get at the top hat here is incredible. It is a very intense coaster with positive G's also when it dives down from that big hardline roll. It is just overall a very, very amazing clone for me. And it's the best ride in the park for me also. So yeah, that has been it. My top 10 rides at Särkaniemi. Thank you guys for watching. Bye.